Today we'll be making a pinch pot. Remember from our last class we began the process of wedging. We are working on getting all of the air bubbles out of the clay. Notice wedging, my hands are together, fingers apart like this, making somewhat of a set of antlers. Grabbing my clay, pushing it forward. Now you don't have to push very far, just a slight bit. And when you pick up your clay, you're just rotating it a little bit, like a quarter of the way. You apply a slight bit of pressure on the outside as you push forward. I know that my clay is already wedged, so I'm going to focus on putting it into more of a round shape as we begin getting ready for the pinch pot. When you start your opening, you have to consider where it's going to go. You don't want it to go off to the side, right? You want it to be down the center. So you're going to gently just press your thumb in towards the center, noticing that the back side is here, right? This is what it looks like from the side. Okay, and then I'll slightly have to wiggle my finger around in a circular motion in order to pull it out. Okay, now when you start working on this, you'll have to grab the bottom, just like that woman said in the last video that we watched. So if you can't reach all the way around, you have too much clay and you'll need to make a smaller pinch pot. But we'll try to help you with your clay distribution. Okay, so initially when working on this, we turn it, gently squeezing at the bottom, remembering that our ideal thickness that we're going to go for this whole pinch pot is about 1/2 inch, or the thickness of your pinky. That's the easiest to remember, the thickness of your pinky. Okay, I kind of feel like I've gone as thin as I can on the bottom, and now I'm going to start applying pressure. I notice I move my hand position to where I'm supporting the base in my left hand because I'm right-handed. Place my thumb inside. Now I'm gently squeezing down here. So on the inside, my thumb is as far as it can go down, and then my fingers on the outside, and I'm pressing at the base. Well, I should say this is the base, but near the base. I'm starting to work up a little farther on my piece. This is where I feel like I really have to be careful because your clay is very flexible and you can widen this hole too much. You know, if you're applying too much pressure and you're not supporting it enough in this hand. So make sure you're holding on to this. Otherwise, if I were to let this go, my whole piece would turn that direction. It would just droop. All right, look, I've got a lot of surface tension here. So I'm going back over and smoothing that out. It doesn't have to be pretty right now. You're just essentially covering up those cracks. Now I've worked my way up towards the top of the pot, and I'm now working on more of the lip and just this ledge here. Oop, I squeezed a little too hard there. Look. It already thinned it out. It really does help to, if you're sitting down, stop for a minute and look at your piece from straight above. Do the walls all look like the same thickness? So I already have somewhat of a bottom that's worked its way through my pinching process, but what you can do is place that down on the table. Not too hard, just a little bit so you can get the idea of the base of your pot. See, look, I've got mine. I still have my little indentation there, but that's okay. I could maybe use that to my advantage later. Okay. Now I'm just going to try to clean this up a little bit. So, one thing to remember, you can, just like in the video, gently squeeze on the outsides. If you felt like your piece was a little bit wide, just applying that, a little bit of pressure helps squeeze it in. Okay. Now if it looks like you've distorted the shape of your piece, just try to round that back out a little bit. Remember, this clay is in the plastic wet stage, so it's very flexible. Okay, I will start with a clean as possible rib. And I'm going to focus on smoothing out the edges of this piece. So when doing that, remember, you have to support this from the inside. And I think I'm going to take a look and just make sure everything looks the way I want it to, nice and smooth. It's looking pretty smoothed out. There might be a few little surfaces that have some indentations that once I see, I will directly smooth out. Remember, put your hand inside. That supports your piece. Okay, now I'm ready to turn it over. Check on my progress, see how much smoother this area is. We'll clean that up, so don't worry about that. And I'll gently place it down. Okay, now as I clean my piece, I'm going to go the opposite direction as I was before. Before I was pulling this up and holding my rib to where you could actually, it was facing you. But now as I move along the sides, I'm going to turn it the other direction. So that way I can remove that extra material that was along this edge. But I'm going to be very careful when I move my piece. You could have this placed on top of a paper towel like she mentioned in the video. Makes it a little bit easier to move your piece. Okay, my piece looks fairly centered on the bottom. Now I will gently pick this piece up, turn it back over. I can start working on smoothing out the inside. Okay, so I am holding my rib actually where my thumb and finger meet this portion that's been cut away on the rib. A lot of you asked what that's for. It's somewhat of an area where you can grab onto. Now again, this other hand is on the outside, supporting as you smooth out the inside. I'm not too worried about the lip of my piece yet. Just working on the inside. Okay, now I can move on to the lip area here a little bit and shape the inside there. Once you get to this point, Don't worry too much about the lip of this and cleaning that up. We can work on that when it's leather hard. So at this point, this is probably as much as you can do within one day. And I will turn my piece over, write my name, make sure it's legible, make sure it can be read, and whatever number class period you're in. I'll just put 3 as an example. Okay, and then we will store this away for safekeeping, making it until we can get it leather hard.